or the race. It just doesn't really care. You know, the Clintons, they don't care. They've come out and said, we support these guys. We fund them. We give them money. We arm them.
We created them. You know, that's what she said. It's
their Dr. Frankenstein. ISIS is Frankenstein. This guy is a monster. Has gotten completely and totally out of control. You have a plane that just went down not too long ago, whatever, the Russian plane. There's all this stuff going on. It's starting to happen. They're gaining momentum. And meanwhile, our country, our government wants to try to enforce stricter gun laws. They want to take away our abilities to protect ourselves. They want to open the borders. They want to allow the same stuff that's happening in France to happen here so they can impose a martial law, so they can have a bigger police state, so you can have tanks driving up and down the road everywhere, arming these, you know, military guys to the teeth. I don't want to live in a world like that.
How do you think they're going to be able to convince the American people to give up their guns when things like this keep happening and when people see that they cannot protect themselves?
Well, they always use situations like this. They say, well, if those guys didn't have guns, we wouldn't have these shootings. And a lot of people don't make that correlation that these guys are criminals. They're not going to give up their guns.
The military didn't sell them the guns.
If ISIS came here and did that stuff, they'd sell that same line. If they didn't have guns, they wouldn't have done this. Well, if you had a gun, you could defend yourself. Meanwhile, like you said, we're giving these guys the guns, the grenades, airdropping grenades to these guys, which they use against people. And then people say that, well, a crate full of grenades isn't going to stop the U.S. military. Yeah, it's probably not, but it's going to kill a whole village full of innocent people.
The sign on the recruiting station, the Armed Forces Service Station in Chattanooga, said that this is a gun-free zone.
Right.
That guy, I guess, didn't read the sign because he still was able to kill people. Criminals don't read that. They don't care.
No, they absolutely
don't. People need to be angry and go, hey, enough is enough. You guys need to do something. This is ridiculous.
It absolutely is. And it is frightening. And unfortunately, I feel like the numbers are going to rise. Like I said, the situation on the ground is still ongoing. We do have word that several of the hostages have been released, but there is still an ongoing hostage situation. We don't know much about the attackers at this moment in time, but we'll be keeping you updated with everything. Stay tuned to INFOWARS.com, and we'll be right back after this.
Dr. Group joins us for the balance of this hour to talk about solutions. We have them up every couple of weeks. We have been trying to launch this for the last year. We got all of the organic ingredients to do it. And we've come up with a new Living Defense Harmful Organism Cleansing dietary supplement, and it is extremely affordable. It is brimming with the capsules. And the way I read the facts, this could do a cleanse for really a family of 4 or 5 people. Dr. Group, let's just get into the product now and then into parasites themselves, what folks really want to hear about in the next segment. But thank you for developing this for InfoWarsLife.com. Tell us about Living Defense and why it's so special.
Well, it's really special because it's part of the problem that we're dealing with today. When the earth becomes sick and the earth soils become acidic and the internal bodies become acidic because of all the toxic food in the air and the beverages that people are consuming, it sets up an environment that's ripe for harmful organisms to live, either on the earth. That's why a lot of the plants are infested with harmful organisms, or inside the body. And years ago, we linked every single disease process to an overgrowth of organisms in the body. And when people hear the word parasite, which the FDA does not like us to use, they actually came down on us and made us take the word parasite off everywhere, because we were exposing what the globalists have been doing, spreading these parasites and creating this environment, which is great for them to live in for years and years and years, because they know they drain us of energy, they make us sick. So we had to actually change the word parasite to harmful organism. And when we talk about harmful organisms, it's the definition, actually, the medical definition of parasite is any harmful organism that lives off of a host mechanism. Most people just think parasites are worms, but harmful organisms are bacteria, viruses that you can get through flu shots, funguses, yeast. We literally have an epidemic going on right now with molds and fungus and yeast living in everybody's body.
This is something that I heard about over a decade ago. I didn't really believe. I did one of these cleanses or invasive organism or harmful organism cleanses. It really hurt a lot, but it did do a lot. With this was not painful like some other cleanses I've done. The product is available at INFOWARSLife.com. I've always read and heard that just one of the ingredients, black walnuts, is really good at flushing parasites, and that, animals out in the fields eat them and stuff to naturally do this. We do cleanses on our dogs, our cats, our horses, our cows. Why not us?
Well, because they don't want you to know about that you need to do a parasite or a harmful organism cleanse. That's the thing. It's so secretive. And when we were doing our research into the root cause of every single disease, there's been plenty of proof.
The statistics are clear. 9 out of 10 people are infested with harmful organisms like parasites. Parasites can be transmitted by people, pets, food, and the environment, and so many other sources. Once parasites have made it inside your body, they steal your nutrients and release toxic waste. They use the bathroom inside of you. It's time to start eliminating toxic and harmful organisms from your body. Introducing Living Defense, the new harmful organism cleanser by INFOWARSLife.com. Living Defense uses wild-crafted organic herbs to help naturally cleanse harmful organisms from the body. We are expected to sell out of this very, very quickly. This is our limited first-time run. So visit INFOWARSLife.com today to try Living Defense today while supplies last.
Rather than assert their sovereignty and a limit to what Europeans can logically withstand, European leaders are applying more pressure on their citizens. A proposed law in Germany would give the police the power to enter people's homes without their permission in order to conduct a suitability check to see if the accommodation could be used to house asylum seekers. Journalist Gunnar Schupelius writes that he found that the Senate Chancellery has actually proposed altering German law, which currently forbids police from entering a home against the owner's permission without a warrant or unless it's to avert imminent danger. The proposal would add a paragraph stating the regulatory authorities and the police can enter to check the suitability for accommodation of refugee land, buildings, or parts thereof without the consent of the owner, if the threat for the prevention of homelessness is required. Germany is currently struggling to find new accommodation for the hundreds of thousands of migrants pouring into the country. Some German citizens who live in social housing have been given eviction notices in order to make way for asylum seekers. Migrants are also being housed in 4-star hotels. Earlier this year in Sicily, migrants had taken up residence in the Florio Palace until they were driven out by Palermo police. And in Germany, a church had its altars and crosses removed to accommodate the Muslim migrants. A German member of parliament has also called for introducing a compulsory labor program under which young Germans would be forced to spend a year in the service of migrants. Also in Germany, a refugees welcome organization based in Bonn posted a message commenting on a party that was held for migrants last week. During the celebration, female members of the refugees welcome group were sexually molested by the refugees. Migrants in the Netherlands who previously complained about slow internet and not being given enough money to buy cigarettes are now sleeping on the streets in protest against not having televisions in all their rooms. The migrants are being housed in the former Ministry of Social Affairs and Employment, and while such facilities are apparently not up to standard for many of the migrants, the Netherlands is footing an 870 million euros a year bill to accommodate them, meaning each asylum seeker costs around 36,000 euros, despite the country currently suffering from a housing shortage.
We're gonna stay outside because we don't want to eat this food. We don't want to stay in this room because we run away from our country because of the situation, and now we live in the jails.
So what is inside the bag? Can you show?
Yeah, there are bread. حدا يهدي مني. Cheese. Can see. And this. Milk. Tea. Chocolate. And coffee.
And why don't you want to eat this?
Because every day it's same food.
You can just eat, sleep, use the slow internet. It's so bad.
I want money, yeah. I want money because I want to smoking.
No service. No service.
Europe is under a full-scale invasion, similar to what transpires during a world war, except this invasion and all of the brutality and economic hardship associated with it rolls out in the name of a left-wing New World Order agenda that the average European doesn't recognize until it's too late.
Joe Biggs here with INFOWARS.com, and today we are at the University of Texas in Austin yet again. Today there is a Million Man March that happened all over the country where students are asking for free college. They want their debt removed, and they also want all employees to get paid $15 an hour. Now, where I come from, if I apply for a loan, I have to pay that back. That's just kind of how that works. Do you think it's good to have free college?
Yeah, I definitely think free college would be great. In other countries, they have free college, and it works out really well for them.
That'd be awesome. If it's possible, I don't know. But
Why wouldn't it be possible?
I mean, tuition is super expensive as it is.
And that means somebody's got to pay for it, right?
Yeah, but I mean, if you think about it this way, free college tuition would mean less college debt, and there would be a lot more people utilizing their degrees better, so.
All right, so it'd be less student debt for the individual, but then at the same time, that's still going to come out of taxes and all that. Yeah. So that means I'm paying for your college, he's paying for your college, and all that.
Yeah, no. Yeah, well, I mean,
that's all right?
I think that's all right. You're paying for a lot of stuff right now. You're paying for, if I were to have a child and send them to public school, you'd be paying for his school. You know,
so you want to just add, but I'm saying you want to keep adding more and more onto that. I mean, this whole idea that everything can be free. The point I'm trying to get across is nothing's free.
We're moving towards socialism. Is that what you're getting to?
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, and I agree with that.
You agree with socialism?
Let's go Scandinavian. That's what I'm saying.
So you feel the burn? Bernie?
Yeah, I feel the Bernie. I feel the Bernie for sure.
So you agree with free school? So who do you think is going to be paying for it then?
Taxes, the 1%.
Well, I pay taxes.
Yeah, so yeah, everyone paying taxes to pay for it.
I think since we have public education until up to high school, and it's really critical to get a college degree, I think it should be provided by the government, and we pay taxes for that also. So.
Well, our education is really suffering compared to other countries such as Denmark, who gives their students free, and they also pay their students to come to college. Their students are given about $900 a month to go to college. So, some stuff's working. We're not really number one in education.
I'm not necessarily sure how I feel about free college. I am very much behind free community college. I feel like free college is a great idea, but it's also probably a bad idea, just depending on where that money's coming from.
And why do you think it's a bad idea?
Well, where would that money be coming from?
I mean, I guess free college sounds nice and an idea, but it's kind of unrealistic, so.
Thank you. And now why is that?
I mean, free college, I guess someone's got to pay for that free college.
Exactly. That's what we're trying to get through most of these people's heads. So who do you think who's going to be paying for that?
Well, there's taxpayers, so me eventually at some point whenever I leave my parents. So I probably think, it'd be nice to get free college at some point, but it's pretty unrealistic and would just cost me more in the long run.
As far as my understanding, the quad here on campus was partially designed by Thomas Jefferson. That's why we got a statue to Jefferson on campus, right? Yeah. But, I've seen some student groups here that claim that Thomas Jefferson's racist and sexist. So in my mind, doesn't that mean that we should just bulldoze the whole campus down since it was designed by racists and we just need to get rid of it all?
Yeah. Under that logic, I definitely agree with that statement. The issue is that, yes, we don't applaud necessarily what Thomas Jefferson did in his lifetime, but it was a completely different time, and I don't think we can judge a historical figure by modern standards because the society back when Thomas Jefferson alive was completely different from the way it is now. We obviously don't support whatever he did, with his slaves or to hurt them or whatever, but it's not as if you can just erase a part of history. Having a statue up there is commending him for what he did in the founding of this university. If it weren't for the Louisiana Purchase, we wouldn't even have this university.
Don't you think that we should just bulldoze the whole campus down since
I mean, honestly, it was a different time then, and I'm not excusing his behavior, but seriously, all of these buildings are historic. You could, under that logic, say that all of them should be destroyed and rebuilt under modern rules and by people who didn't participate in activities of the past. Any area that has been built before the civil rights movement, you could say, should be bulldozed, and that's absurd. To say that racism on campus is going to stay alive because this building was built 100 years ago, I think that's absurd. There are ways to get rid of racism that don't include bulldozing every building on campus.
Yeah, I mean, the whole Louisiana Purchase should probably just be rescinded.